How we doing, everybody? UFC Thoughts here, and today I'm going to be going over my picks and breakdown for every fight on UFC Vegas 79 Fazia vs. Gamrot on September 23rd, 2023. Let's get right into it with the first fight of 11. We start in the women's bantamweight division with Tamires Vidal versus Montserrat Rendon. Let's start with Tamires. In her last fight, she got the flying knee body TKO against Ramona Pascual, I think was her name. It was the big Asian girl. In November of 2022. She's taken a lot of time off. She has very powerful kicks, like everywhere. She throws some nice leg kicks. She has a really nice body kick. Her right hand, I originally called it wild, as she'll randomly throw like haymakers and shit, but she's just kind of a wild card. She's pretty strong. She's got decent knees in the clinch. Prior to her throwing the flying knee, she actually landed a very strong knee in the clinch. Then, of course, she got the fucking finish. But nice body attack. She's just pretty well rounded. Let's go to Montserrat. Last fight was in September of 2022. She's undefeated. She's in her debut. She's yet to get a finish in her career, and she's kind of a can crusher. I'm not gonna lie. She has good ones and twos. She's mostly a boxing fighter. This fight is mostly gonna be standing. I just don't think Rendon has enough skill to beat Tamires Vidal. She hasn't fought enough good people. If you look at the records of the people she's beaten, I think the best record out of all of them was like 6-5, maybe. One of them was 0-1, the other one was 1-2. Pretty shitty career. She lost to fucking Juliana Miller in grappling. What the fuck? But I'm going to go with Tamires Vidal by decision. We stay in the women's division as we go to a women's strawweight fight. Mizuki Inoue versus Hannah Goldy. Let's start with Mizuki. Her last fight was in 2020 against Amanda Lemos. Been a fucking while since she's fought. She's got nice leg kicks, feints a shit ton. She has really good feints. She's got good pressure, some BJJ skills, and she's pretty fast. In the Amanda Lemos fight, it was mostly just like Amanda hitting harder than Mizuki. Mizuki was pressuring a lot of that fight, and then she just kind of kept getting hit. In the first round, she actually got dropped. She was out-voluming Amanda, but she just kind of got hit harder. Let's move on to Hannah Goldy. Her last fight was against Meatball Molly in July of 2022. Lord have mercy. She leaves openings. She's super strong. I mean, she looks muscular as fuck, but she's very stiff on the feet. But she's got decent BJJ to round out her shitty striking. Listen, I'm a firm believer of ring rust, and I think we're going to see this. Mizuki, on paper, should win this fight. But I think Mizuki being out for 3 years, I think it was with injuries. I think this is going to play a huge part. I think Mizuki is going to look a bit rusty in rounds 1 and 2, and maybe Hannah can get her on the ground. I know Mizuki's got BJJ skills. Hannah Goldy is a wrestler. I think she's going to get Mizuki to the ground and maybe submit her in the second with maybe a rear naked choke. I don't know why I see this. Hannah's like a plus 300, so if I get this right, I'm a fucking genius. But if I don't, then fuck it, was a shitty pick. We go up to heavyweight, and we got some big motherfuckers with Muhammad Usman and Jake Collier. Let's start with Mo. His last fight was in April of 23 against Junior Tafa, which, I mean, that win has aged pretty well. Great clinch work and offensive chain wrestling. Muhammad is like a big version of Kamaru minus the striking prowess, but he makes up for it with his fucking power. He hits super hard and he's very strong. I put kinda slick on the feet as a plus for Muhammad. He throws from very weird angles, like the knockout blow he got against Zach Bayunga. It was like a stiff left hook that kind of just landed on the chin really weird and knocked him out. Mo hits very hard, though. Let's move on to Jay Collier. His last fight was in April of 23 against Martin Boudet. Pretty slick boxing from Jay Collier. He's a fat fuck, though. Gas tank as shit. But he's very quick early. His first round is one of the greatest first rounds, I think, probably ever. But he can get bullied in the clinch and on the ground. He's a traditional fat boy. Look at this piggy boy. Look at the pig man go. I'm gonna go Muhammad Usman, 30-27, unanimous decision. Oh, I'm sorry. Is that a Jacob Malkoun fight I see? We go to middleweights, Jacob Malkoun versus Cody Brundage. Let's start with Jacob. His last fight was October in 2022 against Nick Maximov. He literally couldn't finish a guy who was able to only walk on one leg. What a shocker. He has some good striking features. I know I'm gonna dog Jacob here. His striking is pretty bad, but his jab and his pressure are actually pretty good, and he actually does throw some solid right hands sometimes on a one-legged opponent. He's boring, but I mean, you can't deny this dude's wrestling entries and control time is fucking great. He's a very good offensive wrestler, but he's a boring fuck. Let's go to Cody. His last fight was in June of 2023 against Cedric Quest Dumas on the Emmett Topuria card. Powerful, but stupid as fuck. He has no drive. He easily gets bullied on the ground, and he gives up. I mean, if a guy like Cedric Quest is going to be able to control a guy like Cody Brundage, Jacob Malkoun is going to maul him alive. Cody can definitely land something because we saw Jacob got clipped in the Nick Maximov fight because Cody does hit very hard. But no. I'm going to go Jacob Malkoun by a mauling 30-27. This fight's actually fucking dope. Tim Means versus Andre Fiallo. Let's start with Tim. His last fight was in May of 2023 against Alex Morono. Tim has been in the UFC for a while, and he's still kind of the same fighter. He uses his range very well. He's got good leg kicks and teep kicks. He throws his body teep kick with his rear leg, which would be his left leg because he's southpaw, and he clips the gut, and it's like, ooh. He throws it pretty often, too. He can get clipped when people charge in, though. I don't know what it is. Tim Means just doesn't seem like he can, counter anybody when they're charging in, and he gets clipped against people that charge. Kevin Holland did it a couple times, and so did Alex Morono. He's susceptible to submissions, and he's super humble, and he's a veteran, but he's fighting Andre Fiallo. His last fight was in May of 2023 against Joaquin Buckley. God damn it. Beautiful boxing, pretty good counters, became very more patient as shown in the Joaquin Buckley fight. He isn't throwing 300 strikes per fight. He's good on the feet. Just leaves some openings, and he's kind of a bit chinny. I don't know what it is. Some people's chins are better than others. Andre Fiallo resembles more of a Marlon Moraes. That being said, I'm going to go Andre Fiallo by first round knockout. I think Andre's going to get hit with a couple of teep kicks, and he's going to charge in, and he's going to clip Tim Means with a left hook, and he's just going to flatline him. We go to the bantamweight division with Dan Argueta and Miles Johns. Let's start with Dan. His last fight was in June of 2023 against Ronnie Lawrence with the no contest when he had a beautiful mounted guillotine, but then fucking booze and cigarettes. He has great wrestling. I mean, we've seen it in every fight. He shoots very fast, and if he gets the fight to the ground, it's going to be there for about the rest of the round. Great submission offense. I mean, in the Ronnie Lawrence fight, I know the fight got ended prematurely, but he had a lot of submission attempts, and in every fight, I think he has 5 submission attempts per fight. It's fucking nuts. And he drowns people. He's a traditional wrestler. Big strikes and when pressing forward on the feet and drowning wrestling attack. Dan Argueta is a good prospect, and I'm actually very hyped about this guy because he's not like a Dagestani wrestler like Magomed Ankalaev who's just has boring control. He actually goes for submissions like an Islam Makhachev. Let's go to Miles Johns. His last fight was in 2022 against Vince Morales. Good leg kicks from Miles. He's a wrestler, but he gets super carried away with striking. He's so patient to shoot. When his bread and butter is in the grappling, he just refuses to do it. His big fucking bald head. But the thing is, Miles hits like a freight train on cocaine and steroids. So I can kind of see why he wants to stand up, because he got the feeling of a knockout once and was like, I want to get that shit again. That being said, I think Dan Argueta is going to make this fight look very easy, and he's going to get a first round submission with a guillotine choke. I think what's going to happen is I think Miles is going to get taken down in the first 30 seconds, and Dan is going to work his way to mount and then get a guillotine choke. We go to the start of the main card with Ricardo Ramos versus Charles Jourdain in the featherweight division. Let's start with Ricardo. His last fight was in June of 2022. He got the spinning elbow knockout. Oh my god. And that's the thing I have highlighted. He throws them often. Whenever he's going to fight, you're going to hear the broadcast team go, watch out for the spinning elbows. And he just still throws them, and the guy's like, ugh! Good BJJ. He's got 7 submission wins on his career. Not in the UFC, but just in general. He's very quick. Ton of different looks. Stand-up wise, he throws a lot of jabs, he throws a lot of leg kicks. His cardio is pretty good. His boxing is pretty awkward, though. He's more of a kickboxing. Like, I forget what the style of fighting is. It's like where they're striking with their fists is not very good, but their kicking is really good. He's got good defense standing-wise. Like, he blocks a lot of shots. He's just not a very active fighter. Let's go to Charles Jourdain. His last fight was in May of 2023 against Kron Gracie on UFC 288. Great takedown defense was shown there. Awesome kickboxing, pressure, and just grit. I mean, we saw that in the Shane Burgos fight and the Nathaniel Wood fight. I know he lost both those fights. He should have fucking beat fucking Shane Burgos, let's be honest. Slick combos and can break anybody. Shane Burgos doesn't break very often, and Charles Jourdain fucking snapped him in half. He sometimes struggles on the ground, though, and with quicker opponents like we saw Nathaniel Wood. Nathaniel Wood was kind of just a step above him in speed and kind of pieced him up. But I'm still going to go with Charles Jourdain. I think Charles Jourdain is going to outpace Ricardo Ramos, and he's going to win a decision 29-28, because I think Ricardo is going to land big in the first round, but then slow down as the fight continues, and Charles is just going to keep going at the same pace and keep going and keep going and keep going and win a 29-28 close decision. We move on to Brian Battle versus AJ Fletcher. Let's start with Brian. Brian, his last fight was in May of 2023 against Gabe Green, when Gabe Green kind of just was like, and just ran at him. His kickboxing is slick. He has fight-ending power with some great offensive ground game like submissions and stuff. Other than the Renat Fakhretdinov fight, Brian Battle has been pretty damn good. Maybe the Trayshawn Gore fight, which was pretty close, but every other fight has been kind of just like either early knockouts or just like domination. Some cons about Brian Battle is he sometimes slows down and leaves openings, and he struggles off his back. He struggles to get up sometimes. We saw that in Renat Fakhretdinov fight, and he's fighting a wrestler in AJ Fletcher. AJ is a prime example of a wrestler. He's a great wrestler with very good power. AJ's cardio is kind of questionable, though. He slows down bad, and he's shorter and smaller. I mean, 67-inch reach. What the fuck, dude? But he's got a very big heart. He's a jacked little gremlin. I'm going to go Brian Battle by first round knockout. I think this is going to be a spectacular finish, and it's going to be on like ESPN. Like, top 10 plays from ESPN. Coming in at number 2, Brian Battles KO over AJ Fletcher. It's going to be something so wild. AJ Fletcher's going to do like a backflip. We go back to women's strawweight with Marina Rodriguez versus Michelle Waterson-Gomez. Let's start with Marina. Her last fight was in May of 2023 on UFC 288 against Verena Jandrodobra, and she lost by unanimous decision. She's got decent speed on the feet with decent combos. Her takedown defense is suspect. She's easily controlled on the ground. I mean, Verna controlled her for 12 minutes of a 15-minute fight. I mean, that's fucking absurd. She's going to want to keep this fight standing. She's actually got some slick boxing. Her 1s and 2s are pretty crisp. She's got decent hooks. She doesn't have, like, knockout power or anything. Most women don't in this division. Let's go to the Karate Hottie. Last fight was in April of 2023 against Luana Pinheiro. She arguably won this fight. She's got decent speed on the feet, nice kicks. Karate, of course. The front kick of Michelle, thrown way out of range. She's susceptible to submissions. We've seen this in like a couple of her fights. She kind of just runs into a fucking guillotine. She's smaller, but she has heart, and she's very humble. I think this is going to be a 3-round war with Marina coming out on top. So I'm going to go with Marina, 29-28, unanimous decision. I mean, obviously, the frogs are gay. We go to featherweight with Bryce Mitchell and Danny Ige. Let's start with Bryce. Thug Nasty. His last fight was in December of 2022 against Ilia Topuria when he got fucking dominated. Great wrestling, great submission offense. Underrated striking, not going to lie. Good 1s and 2s. He's got some power, and he can land backing up. We saw the power against Edson Barboza when he dropped them. Huge submission threat. He leaves some openings, though, like we saw in the Ilia Topuria fight. He fades against bullies. And a bully can be identified as all of his losses whenever he kind of gets bullied, like on the Ultimate Fighter, he got submitted. And of course against Ilia Topuria, he kind of just got pressured really, really bad. The defense of Bryce Mitchell standing is why people think his striking is bad. His offensive striking is actually pretty good. Defensive, we go to Danny Ige. Solid boxing with huge power, huge pocket puncher. He does so much damage in the pocket. We saw that with the Damon Jackson fight and the Gavin Tucker fight when he fucking knocked him out in like 20 seconds or some shit like that. He mixes it up very well. The problem with Dan is his ground game. His ground game has resulted in almost every loss. The Mavzar loss, the Korean Zombie loss, the Josh Emmett loss. but he's got massive heart. He keeps fighting until the bell. I'm going to go with Bryce Mitchell 30-26. I'm calling one of these rounds is going to be a 10-8. I think Bryce Mitchell is going to dominate Dan Ige on the ground. Dan may be able to land some things early, but I think Bryce will get Dan Ige to the ground and dominate him for 3 rounds. We have made it to the main event of UFC Vegas 79, Rafael Fiziev versus Mateusz Gamrot in the lightweight division, number 6 versus number 7. Let's start with Rafael Fiziev. His last fight was in March of 2023 against the current baddest motherfucker on the planet, Justin Gaethje. His kickboxing is pretty damn good, beautiful combos with stinging power. We saw that in the Rafael Dos Anjos fight, the Brad Riddell fight. He throws spinning shit sometimes. Slick-ass head movement. We saw that in the Mark Jacasey fight when he went all Matrix and was like, ugh, and then he threw a nice-ass leg kick. That's a thing I have highlighted is his leg kicks. He fades, which is a big issue, but he does have the gas tank for 5 rounds, and he shows more patience. In the Rafael Dos Anjos fight, he didn't go for the crazy pace that he went against Justin Gaethje. He slowed down the pace a little bit so he could go 5 rounds, and he has great takedown defense. 90% takedown defense. A lot of people are going to say that Mateusz Gamrot is going to take down Rafael Fiziev. I think he's going to struggle a little bit. Speaking of Matusak, we got Mateusz Gamrot. His last fight was in March against Jalen Turner when he beat him by unanimous decision. Or was it split decision? I don't remember. At UFC 285. Fast pace. Mateusz likes to push the fucking pace in every fight. Every fight that he's been in, he likes to push a good pace. Great pressure, great submission threat. We saw that in the Jeremy Stevens fight when he locked up a fucking knee bar in like a minute. That was fucking nuts. Kinda lucky sometimes. Like certain situations just go his way, but also he kind of he's very skilled to get to those positions. His striking isn't as bad as some people think. Like, some people are like, Mateusz Gamrot's striking sucks. It's not his striking offense. His striking offense, he hits, he has got good power, and he lands some good strikes. His pressure's good, his jab is good. It's his defense. His defense is not good at all. He's been dropped in, I think, every single fight, other than Jeremy Stevens and the one other guy that he knocked out in the first or second round. He's been dropped in every other fight. But he makes up for it with his recovery. Mateusz Gamrot's chin is fucking nuts. He can get dropped, but he does not like to go out. He's a point fighter, low-keezy. He likes to point his way to a decision. It is what it is. This fight is very hard for me to make a decision on because I want to pick Rafael Fiziev, right? But I don't know if he's going to be able to finish Mateusz Gamrot and if Mateusz is going to put on the pressure later on. I'm going to say Rafael Fiziev is going to win by 5th round TKO. I think what we saw in the Rafael Dos Anjos fight is going to somewhat repeat. I think it might be 3-1 or 2-2 going into this 5th round, and Rafael is going to somehow be able to pick it up even a little bit in the 5th round and get a knockout blow on Mateusz Gamrot. I'm UFC Thoughts, and these have been my picks and breakdown for every fight on UFC Vegas 79, Fiziev vs. Gamrot on September 23rd, 2023. My confident picks reside with Tamiris Vidal, Dan Argueta, and Brian Battle, and my pre-card rating is a 5 out of 10. This card is a very big sleeper card with a lot of fun fights on it. I'm going to put it at a 5 out of 10, just in case there are some boring-ass fights. I hope that score goes up to like an 8 or a 9, because there are a lot of fun fights on here, but I'm just not too sure about it. I'll see you guys on fight day. Have a great rest of your day.